Homer was from the island of Chios, which is off the coast of Turkey today. Now that's in the eastern part of Greece, and it's quite an interesting position. There's mainland Greece, and then there's the eastern coast. And so it's a kind of crossroads between east and west. And you've got sailors and traders and travelers coming there. And it explains that Homer has such incredible knowledge of the geography of the Mediterranean. He also knows about technologies, metalworking, shipbuilding, things of this kind. And he knows about different lifestyles, different kinds of people, tribes, things of this kind. Homer lived in the 8th century BC, and I bet you don't know much about the 8th century BC. It's not one of these periods people know about. However, for Greece, it was really important because it was a formative time when the important institutions that are going to be characteristic of classical Greece are laid down. Olympic Games, the Delphic Oracle, the very beginnings of democracy, how people live together. All these things are happening. It's a really buzz time, in fact. And the most important thing in terms of Homer is the introduction of the Phoenician alphabet for writing. So Greece moves from an oral society to a literate society. Who was Homer? Who was Homer? Good question. We don't know who Homer was. Was he one person? Was he many people? Was it a generic name for bards who sang epic poems to, in an assembled company to the tune of the lyre? That was how they kept the meter. Improvising these stories that have been handed down from generation? Or was he one person? The ancients said that he composed the Iliad and the Odyssey. All right, fine. They also say that he was blind. Now, what does this blindness mean? Did it mean that he was a man who couldn't see, or are they speaking about it symbolically? That this man Homer had an insight, that he had a different kind of vision. Now, when you read these poems, you definitely think it was the latter. He has insight. What was different about Homer was that although he belonged to an oral tradition, and he worked as one of these bards, entertaining people, singing these stories of tales of heroes and gods and great adventures, he was alive during the time when writing was introduced into Greece. So his poems could be written down. Did he write them himself? Were there scribes? He was able to work and rework them to give them this greater depth, to give them structure, to give them character development. And he produced the first two great works of Western literature. That's what's different about Homer. The first two great works of Western literature are the Iliad and the Odyssey. The Iliad is about the Trojan War, about men on the battlefield, about heroes whose only hope is to die a glorious death. And with the Trojan War, the age of heroes dies out. It is a tragedy. The Iliad is a tragedy. The Odyssey is about the return of one of these heroes after the war. And on his way he meets many, many obstacles that stop him from getting home. But he overcomes these obstacles. But what helps him overcome these obstacles more than anything else is the desire to go home. It is stronger than anything else. And so he meets these obstacles, their inner obstacles, their outer obstacles. He arrives back in his kingdom. He regains his throne, his rightful place, his wife, his family, and the society that he rules. Why should you read Homer? Why should you read Shakespeare? Why should you read the Bible? Why should you listen to Mozart? Is the present disconnected from the past? There's a beautiful Chinese proverb, and it's about raising children. And it says, the wise parent gives the child roots and wings. Now, Homer is our roots. This is where we come from. It's our source. And it is very natural to want to go home. And once going home, then you can fly. Homer has a special place in my heart because it's very real to me. It's not a fantastical story at all. Odysseus is very real to me, more real than the people around me. I know him intimately because I know as I know myself, in the same way. There's nothing foreign about it. Even the language, which is repetitive and formulaic and in a way very strange from the way we speak, it's very, very real. It's speaking about what is true, and I can trust that implicitly when I read Homer.